Charles Massy, an Australian farmer, author, scientist, and researcher who has become a leading advocate for regenerative agriculture in Australia. His work has not only transformed his own farm, but also had a significant impact on the wider agricultural community. Let's dive into the impact of his work. Massey's journey towards adopting regenerative agriculture practices started when he realized that conventional agriculture practices were causing significant damage to the environment and the soil. The property he stewards has been in the Massey family since 1928. Massey was an only child whose mother died when he was 4. When he was at university doing a biology degree in the 70s, his father had a heart attack, and at 22 he came home to manage the farm. He sought the best advice, copied the practices of the district's most successful farmers, and developed an innovative merino sheep stud that was profiled on the ABC's countrywide program. His wool was being bought by the top guys in Italy for fabric, but he realizes now he was overgrazing and killing his best pastures. During the droughts of the 80s and 90s, he sank into debt buying in food for his sheep. In the shocking year of 1982, the entire farm was like a dust bowl. There were grasshopper plagues. At this point, Massey knew he was going to have to change. He began researching alternative farming practices and experimenting with regenerative methods on his own farm. He faced many issues transitioning from conventional to regenerative practices, including the financial costs and the resistance from some members of the agricultural community. Despite these challenges, Massey persisted in his efforts and saw significant improvements in soil health and farm productivity. He implemented rotational grazing practices, no-till farming, and cover cropping to increase biodiversity and reduce soil erosion. Massey also emphasizes the importance of farmer education and the need to support farmers in transitioning to regenerative practices. As he watched his land recover, he went back to university in his 50s to do a PhD in human ecology. As part of his thesis, he interviewed 80 of the top regenerative farmers, hearing stories of remarkable turnarounds in landscapes, birdsong, and lives. Massey also implemented specific steps to transition his farm to regenerative practices. He stopped using synthetic chemicals and fertilizers and focused on natural inputs, such as compost and cover crops, to improve soil health. He also implemented rotational grazing practices and no-till farming to increase biodiversity and reduce soil erosion. Instead of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides, they have adapted their big machines to spray a combination of worm juice and compost extract to coat the seeds, enrich the soil, and boost the plant's immune system. One of Massey's most notable accomplishments was his groundbreaking research on the impact of regenerative agriculture on soil health. His research showed that regenerative practices can significantly improve soil health and reduce soil erosion. Charles Massey's property near Cooma in NSW has been in drought since 2017. But unlike surrounding properties, which are bare dust bowls of dead trees, Severn Park is covered in native grass, albeit brown. Maintaining ground cover by destocking and moving stock regularly is key to regenerative agriculture. Massey says his grass protects the soil, improves its health, the plants trap water, and are home to insects for natural pest control. By 2000, Mr. Massey himself had become fully regenerative and has now planted 60,000 trees. He acknowledged this in one of his interviews, saying, "So we're getting wonderful results in pest control from insects and birds and all that sort of thing. We don't get any wingless grasshoppers anymore. Every plant has a spider on it, which is eating the grasshoppers or the eggs." In addition to his work on the farm, Massey has also been an advocate for regenerative agriculture and has worked to promote its benefits to the wider community. He has written several books on the subject, including the award-winning Call of the Reed Warbler, which has helped to promote regenerative agriculture practices around the world. As a scientist, Massey has done his research and works alongside other scientists worldwide, investigating the health impacts of industrial chemical inputs. The evidence is substantial and points to a direct correlation between the increased use of glyphosate since the 1990s and the increase in modern biophysical and mental health illnesses. Glyphosate is the world's most widely used herbicide, with nearly 1 million tons being sprayed globally per year, causing massive biological disruption. In his book, Massey shares American scientists Samsel and Seneff's conclusions that the consequences of this disruption, linked to most of the conditions and diseases associated with a Western diet, including gastrointestinal disorders, obesity, heart disease, depression, autism, infertility, and Alzheimer's disease, to name a few. The evidence is mounting that regenerative agriculture is one of the great stories of hope. Charles Massey's impact on the agricultural community is inspiring and worth commending. His research and advocacy have helped to promote the adoption of regenerative agriculture practices around the world. His specific steps towards improving soil health and reducing environmental damage serve as an inspiring example of the power of regenerative agriculture. Let's all take a cue from Massey and work towards a more sustainable future for agriculture. Thanks for watching.